Good morning, everybody. So I see a couple of students on today which aren't usually on, which is so nice. Mr. Powell, welcome. Very nice to see you, Anya. Hey, Luella, Marie, Sandra. Oh, I know it's very, very late, but I appreciate you being on here. But at least you can watch the video after. Hey, Maureen. Great. Cool. Okay, so today a couple of you said that you're pretty excited for today's live stream, and I am too. I think it's going to be pretty fun, and we are going to be doing this women underwater. And I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 pan pastels here. I may not use all of them, but as I use them, I'll list them in the bottom, and then you guys will be able to see which color pan pastels we're using at which time. But first things first, I want to transfer the outline. So the paper that I'm using is the Metans text paper, which is the same paper that we used for the peacock feathers. We really love that paper, and it stayed really black, and the colors on top of it were very vibrant. Also, it's a sanded paper, so pan pastels just sticks to it very, very brightly. And because it's a sanded paper, I thought we'd experiment a bit with the brush and pencil powder blender and see how we go with that. So I did watch Lisa's tutorial on how to use the stuff properly, and the key is that while you're using the powder blender, you have to seal it between layers with a textured fixative by brush and pencil. So that's what I got here. So we will be sealing the layers in quite a bit, especially if we find that it moves around or dulls down a little. Then we'll seal it, and then we can add the vibrancy more. So the more you layer between fixatives, the more pigmented and the brighter the colors become, apparently. So we'll give that a go. Okay, I also have another print here, which we're going to use for transferring the image. So I'm going to turn this one around. The size of this is just a normal A4 paper, so normal letter size, I think, printing paper. So it just fits on this sheet here. And I'm going to use my violet tint pan pastel all over the back, and then that's what we're going to use to transfer the image to the paper. And I need to get a sponge to apply that. Okay, so here I've got this sponge over here, and I'm going to dip it in and apply this all over the back. careful. Yeah, the back of my sponge is filthy, if you haven't noticed. It's got darker colors on there. That's fine, I'll just use the clean end. Great. Shake that off. And then if you have any like excess white bits or anything, you can use your putty eraser to remove it. But we'll do that after we've transferred the image. So, let's put mine. So some of the back of mine is going to be cut off. Some of the side here. My paper is not. The back of my paper is not as big, so that's going to be cut off there, which is fine. I'd rather have more of that side cut off than this side cut off. So place it where you want it and then put a piece of masking tape down to stick it so it doesn't move too much. Okay, now I better remember to record. Timer. Okay, and then use your sculpting tool or etching tool or anything that's got a nice fine point. So we're going to be using this one. And then, so you've got your whole back end covered now with the lavender pan pastel. And that's the color that we're going to transfer over onto our black paper. So there you can just see the line. Is that very dark? So this print is a bit dull, so it shouldn't be the camera that's... Why does that just seem... It doesn't look like the quality is very good, does it? I'm wondering why I'm having so much trouble. I'm really being tested. I don't want it to be too bright. So that pan pastel was Violet Tint 470.8. Hi Jamie. You want to be very careful with your outline of the woman's face, because we want to get that to look just as soft and smooth under the material. So take your time. You probably want to put quite a few of those fold details in there, because the minute you apply pan pastel over the top, you're going to lose these lines because they're just going to blend in with one another. So we want to make sure we're working within the areas that we've outlined so that we can see things quite easily. You'll see what I mean as I start adding pan pastel colors. Jamie's saying, I watched some of Val's stream this morning. She talked about becoming more confident as an artist. Oh, very good. I hope some of the stuff she said resonated with you, because confidence in yourself makes a big difference in the outcome of your work. Sandra says, still trying to work out what the picture is. It's really interesting though. Okay, so this picture is sideways. It's supposed to actually be the other way around. So it's supposed to be this way around. So there's a reflection in the water. So this woman is underwater. She's floating underwater. And there's a reflection on the surface of the water. So it's actually a portrait, not a landscape oriented image. I don't think she's drowning. Marie says, I find this reference a little ghostly. It's beautiful. I thought this would be a great opportunity to demonstrate how to create material, because there's so many folds and shadows and things in the material that was more the material that got me to like this image than anything else. But the whole composition and that of the image is so pretty, so I like that too. Yeah, the colors are also beautiful. There we go, so that's a little bit zoomed out. Love the distorted reflection in the water. Okay, I think that's enough for us to go with. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, yay, we get to start the fun part. Radio. So if you want to, you can grab a putty eraser. Where is mine? Here it is. And if you have any excess little bits of the pan pastel on your black paper, you can just lift that off quite easily. Beautiful. Jamie says, I have a little theory about something we discussed a couple of times. We often say we don't do our own art while we're watching you do yours. I think it's because we miss much of the chat. Jamie says, the chat is important to me, in my opinion, because these lovely people have become my community. We need to talk. Aww. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I've realized that you guys really do enjoy the chats. And that's why I do the lives a lot more. I'm glad though. I'm so glad you guys talk to each other as well, because I know I have a lot of quiet spells where I just get so involved, and then I feel almost guilty for doing it live because I'm so quiet all the time. Sometimes I'm very, very talkative. Sometimes I just have a very hyperactive day. And then sometimes I'm just so relaxed that I'm so quiet. I just absorb everything and I don't really speak much. But I appreciate you saying that. So regardless of that, it doesn't seem to matter to you guys too much as long as you're part of the chat. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I wish, you know, if time wasn't a factor, it'd be really great to have the UK students part of it as well. But like I discovered that if I don't do art in the time that I'm ready to do art, or in the time of the day where I'm relaxed and that, my whole heart doesn't go into it, and I'm pretty sure it projects outwards. You know, I'm sure you guys will get a sense about it if I'm not really into it in a certain day. So it's hard for me to force myself to wake up super early or stay up really late to do something, because then I don't enjoy it as much. And art to me is something that it's a passion of mine. It's something I love doing. And before money even becomes important to me, the fact that I enjoy my art is more important to me. So that's just one of the things. I realize that I just have to do it at the time that I'm ready, and do it one by one, because it's just better if I do it one by one instead of overwhelming myself with too many projects at the same time. And yeah, it's just one of those trial and error things. And like the student portal is also pretty new, so that's also going through a lot of trial and error phases until I get to a point where I'm very satisfied with it. I'm actually in the process of changing a couple of things up. As you guys may have seen on the Facebook page, I told you what changes I'm doing, and I am incorporating those changes. So for the $8 plus students, if you go look in the student portal, you'll see that there's a couple of changes, and I'm hoping that it's actually going to be a lot easier that way. And then I'm also going to create an archive that goes month by month, so you guys can see exactly what I've created in a particular month. And have the video and the reference downloads right there together in one place. I'm also going to have the video tutorials is not going to be listed in dates because I'll have the month by month ones, but they'll be listed in categories instead. So if you guys want to draw an animal, you can go and look at the animals. I think I've got wildlife as a category, I've got birds as a category, I've got sea creatures as a category, I've got pet dogs as a category, pet cats, pet horses, and things like that. So it's just going to make it easier for you guys to find things that are sort of just suit each other, that are relevant to one another. And then have the video links and the reference downloads along with it as well, so that you guys don't have to go to a different part of the portal to get a reference photo and a different part of the portal to get the video, if that makes sense. So I appreciate your patience with me as I try and make it better and better, but I know that you guys don't mind, and I know that through time I'll figure out what works best as well. And yeah, and I am the kind of personality, I love a lot of change. A lot of change does happen in my life, and I embrace it, and I don't try and stick to a specific routine for too long because I get bored of it. I want the changes to happen a lot. I like change, so I think that reflects in what I do as well, which may not sit so well with people that don't like change, but I guess that's just the way I work. But yeah, it's been amazing. It's been really fun, and to think all of this happened just because of that challenge that I started in November, where I did a drawing a day and you guys could enter. It was so nice. That was when we really discovered how much the live streams, sort of how fun the live streams are, and how much of a nice community it is. And that's the best word to use. It is a little community. And I feel I'm so protective over you guys. Like, I feel like you guys are you mean a lot to me. So that's why I like to ask you questions, and I like you guys giving me feedback, because I listen and I try and make it work for everybody. Okay, so I'm gonna have a sip of coffee and then let's get going. Right, so now I'm gonna zoom back in. So you guys can see that a bit better. Maybe not that far. Okay. There we go. Right. Oh, great, Bob. I bet she is excited that you are getting started. That's wonderful. Okay. So, I think, I'm not actually sure how to start with this. I'm wondering if we sort of work this way, or do we work this way purely to save our image from getting dirty? So maybe we should do the water first. I do have a piece of cellophane to put under my hand. Okay, so let's do the water first. Luella's asking, when can we start making suggestions for next month? Okay, so next month, I've pretty much got things for us to do next month. I should be able to tell you. But I'm also doing workshops in town next month, so I haven't added too much. And I haven't even started on the fantasy art piece yet, so that is gonna run hopefully from the end of this month into next month. Hopefully I can even get it started this month. But what we are doing, so we're doing the fox because I said we're gonna do the fox. And then the other live stream that we're gonna do, I found this beautiful portrait of an African girl, and I'll show you guys what it is in the portal soon. And then I'm doing a live collaboration with two artists. One I'm going to do with Amy Howard, and one I'm going to be doing with Kit Slam's art. And then it's the Color Pencil Magazine image and the Smart Art Box video. So I'm not going to be doing a 5-part tutorial, and that would have been the only thing that you guys would have had to have voted for. So because the reason I'm not doing that is because I'm doing 2 workshops in that month. So I don't want to overwhelm myself with too much work. And then the tips and tricks video we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys how I varnish the images. So I know you guys want to see that. So I wasn't even going to worry about you guys voting on that, because I know that's a big topic that you guys would like to see. How I glue my drawings to a board with archival glue, and then how I seal it with a final fixative, and then how I finally put a varnish over the top so that you don't have to put glass over your work. You can just frame it if you want. You don't have to put any glass on it. So that's the tips and tricks video. So that's what's coming up. So that's the reason I haven't put a vote out for March. I'll probably put a vote out for April, but not for March. So hopefully that's all good. Sandra, that's a good question. So Sandra is asking, is there any way that we can have a sort of chat facility on the student portal or Facebook page to have this sort of chat when more than one of us is online? I'll see if I can like purchase a separate kind of widget that I'm able to put into the portal to see if we are able to do chats in there. I'll definitely look into that. That'd be great. You can create comments in the student portal. So any post that you click in, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see where you can put comments. But I'll see if we are able to have chats within the portal as well. Or maybe have a section where you guys can put questions for everybody to sort of comment on together, if that makes sense. I'll have a look, definitely. Okie dokie. Now I'm going to use this little triangular sponge because it's got such a nice fine point. And I'm going to start adding colors to the water. So what I might do is I might actually put this reference right here so that it's super easy to see what we're working on. So we're working on this over here. I love this playlist. It's such quirky, happy music. Yeah, you can chat on Facebook also, but the problem with Facebook is that the chat, I don't know how you can chat with everybody within a chat group in Facebook. You can add comments, but I don't want you guys to add 100 comments under one post, because then that post will keep going to the top of the page. So it might be nice to have it in the portal where it's got like a dedicated section. I don't know, we'll have to have a play around and see. Okay, so I think what I want to use first, I might actually do the dark blue areas first. So this is Ultra Blue Extra Dark 620.1. And then if you guys go in the portal, you can see directly under the image is a button where you can download the reference, which will take you straight to Dropbox, which will take you, if the top right, you'll see a download button and you can download the reference. And then if you have a look, you'll see there's like a dark blue sort of areas here. And I'm just applying it straight on. And then looking for other areas that have that blue. Yeah, to be honest, if we try and have a chat on a different platform, I probably wouldn't go there much, because I need to, I don't want to have 100 different platforms to do different things in. So if we can stick to one place to do everything, it'll make it a lot easier for me to keep track and also be a part of the chats. Yeah, I don't want it on Facebook either for that reason. So the portal is pretty much, like, make sure that you guys read the rules in the discussion tab, but the portal is pretty much so that I can let you guys know what's coming up next, and if you guys need advice on your own drawings, then you can get it from the students and from me. I love how easily the pan pastel just sticks to the sanded paper. It's like it grips it. It's lovely. Okay, now I'm going to use a bit of the brighter blue on this section over here. So I'm going to use ultramarine blue shade, number 520.3. Same spongy. Oh cool, Maureen says one of her acrylic groups has their own web page and they have a chat on it. Okay. Well, if they have a chat on their web page, then I must have a way to be able to get it. Yeah, as long as the chats are relevant to drawing and art, then go for your life. The chat is just not a space for you guys to speak about any life dramas or anything like that. So keep it relevant to what the website is for, and then we're good to go. Oh, look how that blue just adds that extra bit of brightness. I'm not even worried about getting it exactly right because it's just a sort of blurry rippled water reflection, so it doesn't matter so much. Plus, this is just the base layer, so we are adding pencils over the top of this later for any further details. The Facebook portal page is for advice, and you can post your work, yes. Just if you are posting work on supplies that I've never used, you can't expect me to give you any advice on that. So I'm not a painter, I'm a colored pencil artist. So you can't ask me for painting advice and things like that. So that's the only thing. So share your work if there are a lot of people in the group that are able to give you feedback. Otherwise, yeah, that's if you want feedback. Otherwise, just feel free to share your art, no problem. Yeah, Jamie, feel free to talk about art stores. We don't mind. That's fine. That's relevant to art. Yes, your neighbor's bin story is not relevant to art. Exactly. I mean, you guys know. I'm sure it's not something I really have to stipulate. But yeah, if you're having any family problems and stuff like that, then please do not put it on the page. Because it just brings a downer on things. And I'm sorry if I sound very harsh, but that's not the space for it, unfortunately. Okie dokie. Next color. So now we can start using some purples. Let's use Violet 470.5. And have a paper towel close by, like this, if you want to just rub off any excess. See that? Now what I want to do while my sponge is semi-clean is I actually want to see if I can rub off some of this extra blue to make it a bit darker. Or let's actually test our putty eraser, because I want it to be even darker than that. Because you can see that edge there is pretty dark. Oh yeah, there we go. So that'll darken it up again. Some other areas we can do that too as well. Great, we'll make a lot of use of that. You guys can see that, alright. Okay. So using the violet. Oh, look at that. Ah, Jamie, that's a good question. See, those kind of questions would be great to have on the page. Maybe in like a little forum or something. But Jamie's asking, when I was doing commissions, or for anyone that does them now, did you have a written contract for the client to agree to? Absolutely, yes. Regarding expectations for fees, how many retouches are free, what happens to art they don't end up buying, and whatnot. Yes, I did. So what I used to do with my commissions is that I would give them a price straight up. So I would give them a price which included a background, and it depends on how complicated the background is. If the background was complicated, I was going to charge for it, because backgrounds can sometimes be more time consuming than the actual subject matter. So I had a different price for background than what I did for the subject matter. And then, so what I did is I had a price. I went a fixed price for different sizes. So let's say, for example, A4 size, which is just a standard size like we're doing now, I would go $300 colored or $200 black and white. And then I would say plus simple background, an additional $20, medium background, an additional $50, and complicated background, an additional $100. So I'd sort of have that there. And then I would put in a little disclaimer at the bottom saying, if you are unsure about the complication of the background, send the image to me, and then I would give the person a more suitable quote relevant to their to what they want. And then I would also give them an estimate time. So you do need to make sure you schedule in enough time for yourself. And sort of having a deadline puts a good amount of pressure on you. It's something that is good. Sometimes it's not nice feeling the pressure, especially if you're running out of time. But having a deadline does put a good amount of pressure on you. And then I would charge them 50% upfront. So I would say to them, if you want to secure the booking, you have to pay 50% upfront, and you can pay the remainder once the image is finished and I'm ready to ship it. I would also give them a quote for shipping before the time as well. What else? Yep, they had to pay 50% upfront, and if in the end they didn't want it, that 50% is non-refundable, because that is for the time spent on the image. So they'll lose out on that 50% that they paid upfront if they decide they don't want it. And then I do give them a cancellation period. So I give them a start time, and they only have to pay a week before the start time. So that means they can cancel any time before they are required to actually pay. Or let's say they pay a month ahead of time, but I only start a week ahead of time, and they cancel a week ahead of time, then I'll refund the money that they deposited, because I hadn't spent any time on the drawing yet. But most of the time that doesn't happen. So people will secure a booking because they want a date, and then they'll pay the upfront payment, and because they paid it upfront, they're more likely to see it through than not, because they've made a payment already. Whereas if you don't charge them for an upfront payment, I find I got way more cancellations if I didn't charge them for an upfront payment, because I guess they'd find something else that they'd rather spend the money on or whatever. But yeah, that's the way I did it. You don't have to do it the same. Okay, so now let's start adding some of those lighter colors. So the details in this this round ripple here, I will do with pencils. I won't try with pan pastels. So I'm going to use Violet Tint 470.8 and clean my sponge. Okay, now I'd like to use some of the magenta shade 430.3. Jamie, with that example, maybe hold out a little bit so that I can see if I can get us to talk about that on the student portal. And then we can put the question out there where we can talk about commissions and contracts for commissions and setting up pricing and stuff like that. That'd be a great discussion. If you put it on the portal, on the Facebook page, I'm afraid it might flood it because I know that's a pretty big question. So it would be good to have that in the portal, if that's okay. So just hold on a little. Marie, yes, I'll share a contract example when we have that up on the portal. I'll definitely share, I'll even share pricing example as well. And you guys are happy to, I'm happy for you to use the same ones if you want. Luella's saying, I'm curious why you're using pan pastels and then color pencils on top. Why not pastel pencils? What made you decide which mediums you're using? I don't know, I just decided to use pan pastels. I guess I just love the pan pastels so much. And they're so vibrant and you just get such a smooth result. And because the textures of the material is so smooth, I thought pan pastels would be perfect for it. But by all means, you can use pastel pencils too if you choose. It should have the same effect. So I just chose to use pan pastels as my underpainting. And then we'll seal it with a fixative and use colored pencils for detailing over the top. And the whole reason we're using oil pencils, so using the Pablo pencils, is so that we can try out the brush and pencil powder blender as well. Hello Shay, nice to see you back here. I went a bit too far with that one. So this just adds that beautiful, yeah, beautiful magenta. Adds a sort of warmth to it. So it looks very messy right now, which is perfectly normal. Remember, it looks bad before it starts looking good. Okay, now I would like to use some of the burnt sienna tint, 740.8. Clean my sponge. What is it? 740.8. Cleaning the tip of my sponge by just wiping it off on my paper towel. And then you see these light sort of colors here. That's what I want to add in there. And that's about it. And I think I want to add more purple just to add that extra intensity back into the purple here. So I'll go back with the violet 470.5. I also want to go back in with the ultramarine blue shade 520.3. Marie's asking, when do you know you are ready to become a pro artist? I doubt myself, for example. Well, if someone says to you they'd like you to do something for them and they're willing to pay for it, then start. Everybody gets better and better with the years they go by with practice. So it's just, you just have to start. Even if it's not as perfect as some of the other artists out there that have had years of practice, that's the whole point. You have to go through that journey for yourself. So if there's interest in your work and people want it, whether it be family, friends, or friends of friends, then you're ready. And you want to do it, you have the desire to do art, and you want to be able to do commissions, then just do it. I would say though, if you are very, very new to it and you aren't very confident yet, then keep your prices really cheap. So I know it's not worth the amount of time that you put in it if your prices are really cheap, but if you are starting off, then you need to be very affordable, because if someone ends up getting something and they're not quite happy with it, they didn't lose too much money for it, if that makes sense. And then the more you build up confidence and experience, the better you get, the higher you can put your prices. So I started off at about $60 for an A4, which is what I'm doing now. And then the year after that, I went up to about 80. And the year after that, I started going into 100 and something. So pretty much like that. So you put your prices up every year as you start getting more experience and getting more accurate with what you're doing. So really, in the beginning, people are paying you more for your time than what they're paying for what they're getting. And if they know that, then it's nice. And you'll find people want to support you and they want to see you grow. So they'll ask you and they'll watch you. So my advice is, if you want to do it, just do it. And when that little voice starts creeping in, then just recognize that it's there and tell it to go away. You got to start somewhere for you to get anywhere else. Okay. So that looks pretty cool and abstract-y. I like it. I like it very much. So I'm going to spray that real quick. So just cover everything up, because this textured fixative gets everywhere. removing the watch. Remind me to put my watch back. Covering that. Stay. Okay, so I've got the textured fixative by brush and pencil. So give it a good shake. And it is, we'll see how much it dulls the color down. Because I am thinking a lot of people struggle with spraying fixatives over pastels because it just removes the color. It completely dulls it. So we'll see how much it dulls down. Okay, then spray it. I have like a piece of white paper here. So just spray a bit out. And then go ahead and spray your drawing. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of texture. I wonder if I didn't shake it enough. Oh. It's like it had a reaction to the pen pastels. Let's just give it a chance to dry. Okay, so it is making it darker. Those light colors have just like vanished. So let's just give it a bit. Marie, you're saying it's just knowing when I'm good enough to do and create a stable income. You're good enough whenever you're ready. That's the thing about art. You can never compare yourself to somebody else. You can only compare to yourself. So if you're ready to do it, just do it. The worst that can happen if someone is unsatisfied with it, you give them a refund. And you learn from it and you move on. It's going to happen to everybody at some point or another. I've had that happen to me twice, where someone is like, I don't like it, I'm sorry, I don't like what you did, I don't feel like it resonates with me properly, or it just didn't turn out like I expected. That's it. A lot of customers will have a certain expectation which sometimes you won't be able to fulfill. And then that's when you go like, okay, thank you, no worries, and move on. That's it, done, finished. Next person. And in moments like that, that's when you have to be really strong and just continue onwards. You can't stop because of one person. When you're ready, just start. That's it. And Maria, I've seen your work as well. You could have been ready a long time ago. Just go for it. Yes, and in terms of making a living, it's gonna... Don't be surprised if you have to give yourself 2, maybe 3 years. So I'm happy to be very honest with you guys. So if you guys want to know how much money I'm making right now, and I've been doing this, I think I've been teaching on Patreon now for 2.5 years, I think. So that's when I really started this. and it's taken that much time for me to get to a point where I am making, so I'm making 1,400 US dollars a month from you guys. That's what I'm making now, and I'm not taking on commissions. So the extra bit of money that I might get will be a little bit from YouTube from time to time. If anything, I probably make about $40 a quarter from YouTube right now, which is like nothing. And then the super chat does help. So the super chat helps a lot with the, so let's say so 1,400 from my students on Patreon and direct subscribers, and about 200 I'd say on average from super chats. It depends on how much I do that in a month. What else? And then workshops. I spend a lot of money before a workshop, and then I make about 20% profit, 20 to 30% profit on top of a workshop. But that's only if I do workshops. So without doing workshops in a month, I'm making about 1,600 US dollars a month, which is close to, oh, and Udemy as well. So including Udemy, that's between 150 and 300 depending on how the month goes. So I'd be making in Aussie dollars just over $2,000 a month, Australian dollars. So that's $500 a week, which if I work full time at a coffee shop, I could make that. Yeah, so, and that's taken me 2.5 years. And then if I'm doing workshops, I get an extra boost on top of that. So I might get an additional $500 to $1,000 on top of the $2,000 if I'm doing workshops as well. So that's what I'm making right now, and it's been 2.5 years. When I was just doing commissions, because it's so time consuming, so really what was happening, if I broke it down to an hourly rate, I was charging about $4 an hour if I had to break it down into hours. So that's how much money I was making per hour for the amount of time I was spending on my commissions. So it was difficult to make a decent income from that. And then the more commissions you have, the more money you'll make, but the more pressure you have on you because the amount of time that you spend on commissions, and you don't always know how long a drawing is going to take you. So it's very daunting. It is very daunting starting this as a full-time thing. And the only reason I've been able to do it is because we have another income. So if it wasn't for my boyfriend Vinny's income, there's no way I would have been able to go full-time. And what makes it harder as well is people have families and stuff, like we don't. So he's just supporting me and the dogs, and that's it. So he can easily do that with just his income, which allows me to do this full-time without having as much of an income as he does. Whereas if it wasn't for him, there's no way that I would have been able to do this full-time at all. I would have had to. I would probably only be able to do it for a couple of hours a night. And then if I was working that much anyways, I probably wouldn't be drawing that much, because when you work full days, you want to come home and rest. And I didn't find that I would put a bit of time in it every day. So it's a very scary, it's a daunting thing to consider, because unfortunately money makes the world go round, and money is what keeps us alive. So it's a difficult thing to get by without it. Yes, everybody's circumstances are different. So there are faster ways. Like, you don't have to use colored pencils per se. There are faster ways to do things if you're using other mediums. And some artists work faster than others. So it's very dependent on you. Okay. Right, so that was very interesting what happened there. So all those light lavender colors that I had have sort of vanished, and the blue on the edges has completely vanished. So let's see if we add another layer of pan pastels and seal it again and see if that makes a difference. But at least all those white spots that I put down with the fixative didn't, they dried clear. Thank goodness for that. Otherwise I would have been very sad. Yeah, that's exactly right. You have to explore as many options as you can. So if you're going to be doing art, then consider selling your art on eBay and on Etsy as well. That's a good point. So if you're doing commissions, that's the hard part as well. Because if you're doing pet commissions and that, you can't sell those prints on Etsy because people don't want pictures of other people's pets. So it's good if you can also start doing other things. Fantasy art or something intriguing, like nice colors or whatever, to just make it a little bit more unique to you, and then sell those sort of things on Etsy. If you can make tutorials, even better. People are always interested in tutorials. So I encourage you to even go the route I did. So if you are able to do it, if you have the time, you know, start off small, use your phone to record videos, create PDF tutorials step by step, and sell prints on Etsy. Like, those things all add up. They all make a difference. So I'm using the burnt sienna tint now again. Yes, Society 6 is epic. So Society 6 is a really great place if you want to sell pillowcases or mugs or tote bags or whatever with your artwork on it. They're very, very affordable. I might switch the sponge over to the square one. I want to see if that might help a little. Let's use the violet tint for 70.8. Which looks white instead of violet. It's weird, it looks completely white. Okay, that's too much. Let's use this one, the violet. That's right. So check out Ellen Brenneman's YouTube channel. she talks about these things. She's got a lot of useful tips and videos that talk about, you know, selling your art, using other platforms to, as well as doing commissions or just whatever. She's got a lot of useful things in there. How to market yourself on social media, all things like that. So we are starting a blog post in March, a podcast thing. So once a month we are going to have a podcast where these are the kind of topics that we will be discussing as well. And that's great for you guys because then you're getting it from two different artists with two complete different styles of work. You're getting those perspectives. Okay, I almost feel like the colors are coming across much brighter. So using the ultramarine blue shade. You guys could also, if you're doing these tutorials, because these are royalty-free photographs, if you do artworks from all the photographs that I give you guys, you can sell those on Etsy too. So you have the rights to sell your prints of these. Plus, I don't sell prints. I will with my fantasy art drawings, so those ones you can't draw and sell, but you can try and draw them just for experience, but you can't sell the fantasy art ones if you're using my reference. But apart from that, any of these sort of references, you guys are welcome to use and sell them. Go for it. I'm going to be doing more tutorial videos that talk about editing your reference on different platforms and stuff. So you guys could always take the photos in the royalty-free photos that I have available and change them up, make them unique to you, and then draw them and then sell them. I have no objection to that at all. And you don't have to supply me with any credit when you're doing that either. I mean, you guys are just using the same photo. That's it. You don't have to tell anybody that you are learning from me or anything. You can just sell it. That's right. And if you get like if you're doing artworks from other artists that are specifically unique to them, then you need to get their permission. But because I'm always using royalty-free photos, those photos you're allowed to use however you like, in any way you like. You don't even have to provide credit to the photographer. Not for your artwork, you don't. Not if it's a royalty-free photo. And with the photos that I provide you guys, those photos say that you don't have to give credit to the photographer, so it's all good. It's just there for you guys to use. So you're buying the right to use that photo when you purchase the stock photos, although you're not purchasing it. I am, but like still. Let's pretend you did. And yeah, you are allowed to use it as you wish. You just can't reproduce the actual photograph. That you're not allowed to do. You have to change it and make it unique to you. That's looking quite bright, isn't it? That looks very nice. I like it. So I'm going to use a little bit more of the violet tint. Okay. And then I want to use some of the magenta. Hey Mojin, the kitten photo is also available in the portal. So that's an iStock photo that I purchased. Thanks, Jamie. That's so sweet. Marie says, you guys are awesome. I like to think we are a creative community and support each other. Exactly. We are here to help each other because we all have the same interests. We want to achieve the same things, and we want to be able to do this because this is what we enjoy. So I want to encourage you to do it. And if you feel like you like teaching, then maybe that's another route that you can go. Just do what I'm doing and teach. Create a Patreon account. Start there. Okay, I'd like to use a bit of the permanent red tint. Have we used this before? No. Permanent red tint, 340.8. Just like a pinkish color. Okay, that'll do. Now let's spray this and see how much it dies down. And then we'll start, I think next up, regardless of how much the spray affects it, we will add color pencil over the top. See how we go. Actually, before we do, I still want to add some blue, some of the ultra blue extra dark over here. Because I know that dies down a lot when you spray it. Okay. So cover everything up. Good night, Sandra. Thank you for joining us. Luella's asking, how many parts do I think this drawing will be? I don't know. Hopefully just 2. Okay. Okay. There we go. Let that dry. You gotta let this dry properly. So you can see when it's dry. So you can look at an angle and you can see if there's any wet spots. It doesn't dry as quickly as the Mikador fixative does, probably because it's got so much texture to it. But you gotta wait a little bit. I agree, Marie. So the Facebook portal page is there for that. So as long as they are asking for advice, then it's so nice to see you guys go ahead and add the advice. But if someone's just sharing the work and not asking for advice, then don't give them advice. But yeah, it is. Everybody's been so great on the portal so far. I haven't had any issues, which is nice. So it's good. I really love this blurry, abstracty effect that happens when you spray it with a fixative. I think it looks really cool. I'm pretty excited about adding colored pencils now. Putting my pan pastels aside for the moment. So I'm just going to give that a few more seconds to dry. That's right. So Maureen says when copying someone's original work, you have to ask permission no matter where it is posted. Exactly right. Marie, yes, absolutely. I think that's a fair price. Okay, I think we're ready. So I have my set of Pablo pencils over here, just a tray with the sort of pinky purpley colors. So now we want to start working on detailed areas over here. Excuse me. So let me get my sharpener a little closer to me. Right, so I am going to remove that. So Pablo pencils. I have a new set of Polychromos pencils on the way. Because Kogan had the best price, so I should get them tomorrow, so then we can add them to the set tomorrow, so we can use Pablo's and the Polychromos pencils. But for now I'm using Granite Rose 493. Yep, USD, that's good. It is worth it. Okay, so now these nice little pink colors here is what I want to start adding. Let's get that nice and close. We could even start working on this rounded ripple here. I love how pencils feel on this paper. I guess I'll zoom in there. So if you draw this even bigger than this, it will be easier. Because then the details aren't that small. So the bigger you can draw details, the easier it is going to be for you to draw. It will be more time consuming, but it will definitely be easier. Oh, cool. Hey, Tracy. Tracy says she's got hers yesterday from Kogan. Amazing. We were on the same wavelength, I think. Good night, Marie. Thank you so much for joining us. Ooh, Tracy's doing the swatch for them tomorrow. Yeah. Put a movie on or listen to an audiobook or something, because it can. If you just focus on the swatches, it can get quite boring. And it will feel like it's never ending. But if you're doing it while watching something else, then it's quite nice. I feel like I made that far too big, but that's okay. So now I'm going to use Periwinkle Blue, number 131. Looks more like violet. Now I'd like to use a little bit of indigo blue, number 139. I don't see a dark blue indigo in the Pablo set, so I can't compare. But the indigo blue in the Pablo set is not blue, it's more of a dark purple. Whereas the indigo blue in the polychromos set it's such a dark blue, it's very close to being black. I'll make this bigger so you guys can see quickly. That's what we're drawing. So on the left you have the reflection, and on the right you have the girl underwater. Now the way this is supposed to be, so I'm drawing it in landscape orientation, but it's supposed to be in portrait orientation. So if I go this way, this is actually what it's like. So the girl's underwater, and then at the top is the reflection of the water. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. I'm just drawing it at this angle because it's easier for me to record it this way. Okay, now I'm going to use Mauve 111. I might go have a look in my polychromo set to hunt down a few other pencils. Because I want a different color that I can't see in this set. What I'll do for now is I'll keep using the Periwinkle Blue number 131, which, like I said, looks like violet. Okay, wait, so we got that there, and then we have an open spot. I might try a light blue on top of that, so try the Sky Blue 141. Yes, that's very good. That's okay. I have my alarm set on my watch, so it vibrates every 11.5 minutes. So all good. I don't think I've missed any recording time yet. I was going to draw this bigger. I'm so glad I didn't. Okay, I'm going to go over that with indigo blue because that is not where I wanted to place that. That sort of goes up there. Yeah, even if I had a timer like that, an hourglass timer, I wouldn't be looking at it. Feeling the actual vibration on my wrist, I don't have a choice but to feel it. So that just seems to be the best way. Coming back in with the Periwinkle Blue, number 131. Luella's asking if I'll use solvent on this. I'm so tempted to. I said I was going to use the brush and pencil powder blender, but I don't see how the powder blender is going to make it smooth for such fine details. I'm not sure what to do. I'm sort of having that debate in my mind right now. Yeah, I don't even want to try wax pencils with this because I've watched what Lisa does, and it's just the oil seems to just blend, whereas the wax almost glues to the paper in such a sense that it keeps the texture. So you're putting powder over the top of wax, so it doesn't move around. It's weird. But with the oil it does. So it's, I can understand why you probably have to put powder blender down before you put wax pencil down, but we are only using oil-based pencils. So let me get this layer in and then we'll have a play with the powder blender. I want to try a little bit of the Prussian Blue number 159. Prussian Blue 159. This is nice. Okay, let's see if we can find another playlist, because this one has ended. Maybe. Okay, so carrying on with the Prussian Blue. I don't know. Next. I love the patterns and the look of this already. So just, because we've been recording for a while, maybe just refresh your browser so that there isn't too much of a lag time. Okay, now I'd like to add some purplish red, number 350. Sharpness. Okay. Now I'd like to add some light purple, number 091. like a light pinkish sort of color. What's the time? 1:30. I'm starting to get hungry. This pink just added that little bit extra, didn't it? It looks very nice. Now I would like to try a bit of the Gentian Blue 370. So we could probably use this one maybe to define some of these squiggles in the blue here. Yes, perfect. Oh, look at that. That just popped a dried out. Oh, I like that. I like that so much. I'd like to use some of the ultramarine. No, not that one. Or maybe. Yeah, why not? So ultramarine number 140. Bring these blues together a bit more on the edges. I'm going to bring in a little bit of the apricot 041. Okay. Okay, let's try the powder blender. So I can still see a bit of texture, and I'd like it to be even smoother, which is what I would like to use the solvent for. But we aren't using solvent. Okay, so I have some colored pencil powder blender here. I'm just gonna pop a little bit in the lid here. Just a bit like that. And then, so you're supposed to use it with a sponge. So I'm gonna take this little applicator sponge, put a little bit on there, and then see how this blends. So the idea is to get the texture of the paper to disappear because we want it to look very smooth. That's blending in quite nice. So it is making it look smoother. I think I'm gonna lose all this pigment and color when I spray it again. I can just see it. Here's a new one for the lighter areas. Okay. Now I am supposed to spray it again. I wonder how much color it's gonna lose. Let's see. Covering that. Covering that. Should have removed this first. Still looks pretty good. I may just have to add a bit more detailing. A bit more of the lighter colors. But I like the way the blues and the purples are sort of blending in nice and smoothly together. But I guess we have to try the powder blender on here. Maybe we'll try a section with pencils in the powder blender and leave the pan pastels and see how that works. Hopefully this dries properly, because you can see a sort of dividing line here, because I had this paper here when I was spraying it with a fixative. Because I don't want the fixative all over here unless I need it. So we'll see what happens. Okay, I am going to have a lunch break and let this dry completely, and then finish the details of the water. And then tomorrow we'll start working on the woman, and then maybe we'll try and use the pencils first instead of the pan pastels on a section and see how the powder blender works. So we'll maybe do this top section over here. I'll show you on the reference. So maybe we'll do this section here of the material using just pencils and the powder blender and see if we get any good results. And if we don't, then we go back to our usual method of blending with solvents. See, if I just used my usual method, I would have only had to have sprayed once to seal the pan pastel, and then I could just use my colored pencils over the top. But now I've sprayed that many times already, and I don't like the effect it's having on the black. Hopefully that doesn't stay light like that. So we'll have to wait and see. Alrighty guys, I'm gonna have a break. I don't know how long I'm gonna be, but the stream will be on pause. If you're here when I get back, then great. If you're not, that's all good. You can catch up on it later. Okay. Seems to be good timing to have a break for everybody as well. Alrighty guys, I'll be back on later. Bye!